This is my journal system for this year, and I think I'm loving it. It's a bad habit to just buy new journals without completing them. The Venezuela embassy 5 years ago, rather than strolling my phone, I reminded to myself. So welcome to another journal chat. For planning, I still use the bullet journal method, but I don't use the A5 notebook anymore. I've migrated successfully since last year into the insert of standard size TN, and this is my planner in the standard size. I have two inserts here, which is monthly, and then the other one is the weekly. I connect them together using the TN elastic band when I first bought the leather bound. And what I have in the monthly is the eagle eyes views of my annual goals, which is this. And then I also have my TBR. I have my A Year in a Glance calendar if there's an important dates that I want to remember, any celebrations, any anniversaries, somebody's birthdays, travels that we need to take. All of that will be captured in this. And also I have a specific section here, dedicated section here for my monthly reflections or retro for every quarter of the year. That means I can always come back, flip through and see everything in a single notebook. And I also have my habit tracker, mood check-ins, and gratitude log in this monthly notebook. I realized that it's hard to actually have the section separated by month in the bullet journal because sometimes I just want to flip through all of the logs. In one of these pages, I also have my ideas for the year on cozy hobbies that I want to do this year, movie and TV shows that I want to watch this year. I do realize that a lot of people have a separate notebook for hobbies, for TV shows, and is entirely up to your lifestyle. But I feel that having this together in a single notebook as a year in advance really helped me to see how's my lifestyle for the year has been like by the end of December. On the weekly insert is basically more like a catch-all kind of thing. I have my planner of the days and for the week. I also sometimes capture some notes from a meeting, some brain dump, because I do have sections for every month where I dedicated the columns and the rows for every themes of my life, like creative section, personal section, and also have some work section here. If I have some idea, random thoughts about my work that I want to put in, I can put it into the brain dump section and then migrate them later into a task if I think is valid. So basically, weekly inserts are kind of messy notebook. So far, this is what I carry with me all the time. Just grab it out from the leather bound and then throw it into my handbag. Most of the time, it goes with me to work. I do have a separate planner for work, but sometimes I need to match the schedule because that's how I could manage my productivity and also the energy on how I balance those worlds. For keeping knowledge and topics that interest me, I have started using the standard size insert as my commonplace book. Prior to this, for many years, I have all my commonplace book captured in the Notion app. I do have sections and different kinds of topics in that commonplace section where I keep all my book reviews. You can watch this video where I talk about my commonplace book and book reviews. I also have the courses that I've taken, the subjects or the articles that I found online. As the citizen of the world who also guilty of scrolling mindlessly on my phone, I do want to start practicing and training my brain to capture things with longhand writing and in a physical format. So I started this commonplace book early of this year. Try to capture some ideas that I've learned or I heard from. I have started to practice writing down some ideas or quotes that I'm interested in, something that I would want to carry with me in my bag. I would want to pick up my commonplace book, read through all the ideas that I've captured before. I have a conversations at work on 9th of February. The quote was mentioned by one of my colleagues, what gets measured gets managed. So the quote was very important for us in the sprint planning to measure delivery to make sure that your work is successful. I want to remember this as the anchor and trigger for me whenever I do sprint planning for the team. And the second one is interesting. I just want to read it out. A week after that, 18th of February, I was scrolling my YouTube and then I found an article about the kandiru. So kandiru is a tiny small fish following urine directions into human urethra. If you pee in the Amazon River, they will detect the heat and jump right into the stream, tear your tissue and lock itself to the body, and then it will cause an internal bleeding immediately. I find that this article is interesting. I want to share it to friends if we ever gonna have like a random chat when I meet them. Do you know kind of moment? So we never know. So this is just something that I'm interested in, and now it's captured in my physical notebook. And this kind of article may not be something that I want to capture in my Notion app. So I think I have started to see the separations between the kind and the theme of articles that will be captured digitally and in my physical commonplace book. And I really want to see how it feels like to have a physical commonplace book this year. Next, in my leather bound is my diary. Let me just take it out. If you watched the previous video, I've talked about junk journal, I've talked about capturing memories, so memory journal, I talk about scrapbooking, I talk about reflections journal. All of that was in a separate notebook. And this year, I have combined all of that because I want to write intentionally and I want it to be personal, to be meaningful. This year, this is what I'm going to use to capture all of that in a single insert. So it's pretty empty because we're just in February, but I've tested it out. I don't feel I just collect some junk for the sake of the junk journal, but I make sure that whatever that I collect, that those mementos become something that is going to be meaningful for the page and when I write down the memory and the experience of the day. The next one is thinking journal. This is a new journal that I have added into my journal system this year. The idea of having a thinking journal is to process your idea, which you will then transfer them into your planner, either digital or into your project management tools, which for me is Notion. For my personal project, the one that I'm currently actively using right now is the thinking notebook that I dedicated specifically for my 9 to 5. This is my thinking notebook for my 9 to 5. At the beginning of the getting this notebook was only because I needed to travel light to Melbourne last year. This is where I do all the thinking so far. I've experimented it since January. I have been more structured, engaged in the conversation, well planned for my projects, and more organized with my planning on a day-to-day basis at my 9 to 5. And at the moment, I do have this insert for the thinking for my personal project. I have not used this yet because I do have the old notebook in my old journal system that I just want to use it to complete all the pages. I don't want to waste any more. This basically is the major journal in my current system, and another one that I would not abandon and have abandoned in the past is the morning pages. In my previous video, I did mention that I've used this notebook for my spiritual and mental house space where I reflect on the verses from Al-Quran or Daily Stoic book. But because I feel like I did not properly invested with the quality of the book, and I have decided that I'm going to use the spiritual and the mental house journal into a better quality. I have ordered Muji notebook and it hasn't arrived yet. So far I have done all my reflections directly on the margin in my Quran and my Daily Stoic and on post-it notes. So I'm gonna do that updates later when the book arrives. But now my morning pages, which I have completed my 4-year-old morning pages, as you can see, into this, because I said in that video, morning pages are not meant to be something that you reread. You don't want to go back so quick to note or reflections of your negative emotion because it might triggers you more. Therefore, I don't feel like spending much money on the quality of the notebook. And also in future, I'm planning to actually combine morning pages with brain dump, because brain dump is something that is uncertain, right? It's just an idea. It may or may not be something that it will be translated into a project. I do have a brain dump section in my catch-all daily insert in a TN format, but that would be a mini brain dump as I go. But if I needed something more spacious to write down the idea that I think it can be a good project for me to do, I'll come to this notebook. That's the system that I combine and simplify, and hopefully in future I would move format from this kind of notebook into the B5 from Muji, I think. But we will speak about it when the day comes. These are the notebook that I theme up and categorize them as a subject notebook, a specific journal for a specific topic, not something that is going to be part of the major journal ecosystem that I just mentioned earlier. They are like cousins to each other. This is just a placeholder. I don't know what I want to do with this notebook. It's very pretty, but I got it cheap, but the quality is so good. I'm just going to reserve, but for now I put a sticky note that I might going to use this as my home copy for thinking journal while I still have my insert as the main thinking journal, but I don't know yet. The list of the topics that I have for each of these journal are the topics that I really dive into deeply. And this one is my Spanish language notebook. I have this since I rejoined a class at the Venezuela embassy 5 years ago. Yeah, 6 years ago. The reading journal, as you could see in my previous video, I'm just going to continue using them to capture my reading experience, but it's not something that I would continue using in this format. I just don't want to waste paper. It's not good. It's a bad habit to just buy new journals without completing them. Reminder to myself. And I also mentioned about my gaming journal. I have mentioned about my career planner. I have the brain dump journal before this. I also just want to keep using the empty pages till it's finished. And this is my YouTube journal, which only have less than 50 pages left. And I was still considering whether to use this format, which is the new one here. Do I want to buy a new notebook just because I want to have the same standardized size journal in the main ecosystem? I don't know yet, but this is a placeholder that I have. Ultimately, I do want to cut all of this into a smaller size, something simpler in the size and also simpler in the system. I know it is evolving and I know it's not finite. It's just becoming more intentional for me, and I'm going to continue experimenting to try to simplify, to reduce, and to only keep what actually serves me. And thank you for watching. See you next time.